One of the big reasons we can't do the things we want to do is lack of time. And the thing is, when you're always short on time, you are always going to feel at least a little bit of stress because either you have too many things going on in a limited amount of time, which means your life is based on tackling things all day, and then when you're not doing something, you need to sleep. Or you have more things than what you can fit in a day. That means you are always sacrificing something that you actually want to do. So, this kind of a situation, prolonged over time, will be detrimental for not just your physical health, but also your mental health. Because it's easy to see, right? The thing is, in this case, we need physical rest. That's like a non negotiable. But something interesting happens to the mind when we only rely on physical rest to give this brain a rest. What happens is every waking moment, your brain has to be functioning super fast. So there's never a moment where your brain is just waking, it's up, but it's not spinning. So it's either on and spinning or it's off. And this kind of on off, on off, on off can be a very, very stressful environment for the brain. So in this situation, we have to make time. But the thing is, how do we make time? Because I can't have 25-hour days, right? Because the days are 24 hours. So I know some people who are already sleeping less. But the first thing you can do is substitute, not like a crazy amount of time, but just 30 minutes or 1 hour of sleep. And I'm not saying sacrifice sleep, I'm saying substitute that physical rest with mental rest. So it doesn't have to be in the morning. You can do half of it at night, half of it in the morning. So 15 minutes of your your body is completely relaxed as well. It's just not asleep. And your mind, instead of letting it go to all the places, you just focus on your breath. And let the mind, you can go back to worrying, you can go back to stressing, you can go back to solving problems after that 15 minutes. And then in the morning as well. So these little times, pockets of time that you give just to yourself, when this accrues over time, it makes a very big difference. But the biggest resistance to this is that it has to substitute physical rest. And because we are always physically tired, we are very unwilling to sacrifice or substitute our physical rest. But the thing is, it's either we start taking care of ourselves in the head department, or you continue this life and the problem exacerbates. Because something I also notice is when people who are overworked, when their situation changes and they aren't overworked, at first it feels good, it feels relaxing, but their mind wants to go back to overworking because that's where they kind of find peace because they've been in that situation for so long. So, for the long run, right? We have to take a bit of a short-term investment into our mental health. And that means sometimes we have to substitute our physical rest for mental rest. But like I said, there are people who are already living such a full time with like a 5 hour sleep schedule. And to ask them to have even more time to dedicate to mental rest, I think it's already a very tall order, right? But the thing is, again, we have to understand where we are going with this kind of life. With that much of a busy life, with that much of a life where you are always engaged with something that you have to do, what's the end game there? And the thing is, I'm not saying the end game is always bad. But the thing is, when you are really aligned with what you want to be doing with your life, you can have a very packed day every day. But the thing is, you won't be stressed. And when you aren't stressed, turns out being stressed has a very taxing effect on the body. So even if your day to day looks the same in terms of what acts you do throughout the day, just by eliminating stress, you're gonna get a lot of your stamina back. So, if you aren't stressed with your full day every day, then I don't think it's a problem. Because you clearly understand why you're living this kind of a life and why it's important for you to continue living this kind of a life. But if you are stressed, that's already an indicator that you aren't necessarily aligned to the life that you are living. And in that case, some readjustment or perspective shifts on how you view life can be very beneficial.